The pantry is empty. The wells have run dry. The crops won't grow and the oceans have been fished to depletion. All wildlife has retreated far into the woods beyond your grasp. It's gotten so bad that you find yourself deliberating which annoying in-law you're going to eat first. But it doesn't have to be this way. Today we're going to talk about the two most popular types of prepping food and which situations they are best suited for. So let's get to it. Freeze-dried food or MREs. Which is the best for emergency preparedness purposes? Let's talk about it. Let's first talk about the use case for MREs. MREs were created by the military for combat situations, so they're ideally suited to bugging out. Now, the unique thing about modern MREs is that they have an individual heating element in them, which is going to allow you to create an exothermic reaction that's going to heat up your food on the go. Very durable packaging, built for battle. So, as for freeze-dried food, freeze-dried food is unique in that 99.9% of the moisture is extracted from the food, preserving the actual original texture. This is different from dehydrated food. Now, the great thing about freeze-dried food is that it's really quick to prepare, and there's a lot of companies that sell it in bulk, which makes it ideally suited to a bug-in situation, but you can also use it on the go because it is so quick and easy to prepare. You open a bag, you pour in hot water, you're good to go. Now, in terms of taste, MREs are kind of a mixed blessing in that you get a lot of variety. You might like the entree, you might not. If you don't like the entree, maybe you'll like the peanuts, you'll like the dessert, or you'll like the snack that is provided, or the coffee or the juice. There's a lot of variety in an MRE. Generally speaking, however, MREs are notorious for not tasting that good, but they have been made increasingly more palatable over the years as the military has discovered that better tasting food improves soldier morale in the field. For that reason, the recipes have been improving and these XMREs are actually quite tasty. So one of the great things about freeze-dried food is that it preserves the original texture. So unlike dehydrated food, when you attempt to rehydrate dehydrated food, the cell walls of the food are going to be broken down because they didn't undergo a process called sublimation, which extracts all the moisture from the food without damaging the actual cell walls of the food itself. For this reason, the texture is retained and thus it makes for a more tasty meal. I personally think that freeze-dried food tastes better than MREs, generally speaking, but it really depends on the type of freeze-dried food. If you get the freeze-dried food that you buy in bulk in the large buckets, typically the manufacturers are taking shortcuts. I would recommend that if you're going to be buying lots of it, that you look into a premium brand name that are going to be listed in the description section below. The only potential downside to a freeze-dried meal like this is that if you don't like it, you have to eat a lot of it, whereas you have that variety factor with the XMREs. Now, the shelf life of freeze-dried food is really incredible. It's up to 30 years of shelf life. Even if the package of the freeze-dried food says only 5 years or a couple years, just the fact alone that there's freeze-dried food contained within what is typically a Mylar bag or retort packaging means that it's likely going to last a long time. Remember from my video that I did on best before dates that a best before date is just a recommendation. It's not required by law, and many foods have been found to be safe to eat long after their expiration dates. So because all the moisture is extracted from the freeze-dried food, that means it's going to last a long time. That's why it is the ultimate survival food. Now, MREs, on the other hand, only last 5 to 7 years. They're going to last longer if they're in a cooler environment. MREs are built to be consumed anywhere, whether that's in the desert or the Arctic. That's one of the advantages of an MRE. However, it does have a much shorter shelf life. Now, that being said, there are channels on YouTube which have demonstrated that MREs, even 10 to 20 years old, are still palatable in some cases. So once again, shelf life recommendations don't necessarily mean that you're going to get deathly ill if you consume it after that expiration date. The FDA doesn't even require companies to put expiration dates on food. This is entirely voluntary and is usually just used for stocking purposes. If you want more information on that, you can go check out my video, The True Shelf Life of Food. So an MRE contains 1,300 to 1,500 calories. Now the average soldier needs around 4,200 calories a day if they're doing work in the field, meaning that they need 3 MREs per day. The average person, when sedentary, needs around 2,000 calories per day, meaning you could probably get away with 1.5 MREs per day. Anything less than that, and you're likely going to start dipping into your fat stores. Now the average freeze-dried meal that you buy is going to vary a lot. It can be anywhere between 400 calories to 1,000 calories. So the price per calorie on a freeze-dried meal is roughly $1 for around 50 to 100 calories, whereas $1 for an MRE might get you a little bit more, maybe 120 to 150 calories. All right, so in terms of nutrition, MREs were created using the dietary reference intake created by the Institute of Medicine. So they're engineered to provide a soldier with all of the micronutrients that they would need and the macronutrients they would need to do a day's worth of work in the field. That means that you're going to have ample amounts of vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, and carbs to ensure that you're not going to be deficient in any of those areas. Now, in terms of the durability of packaging, MREs are packaged in what's called a retort package. They are made to be dropped out of airplanes. You can even run over them with your car and you'll still be able to use them. Okay, maybe they're not that tough, but they're still built really tough. All of the individual components are vacuum sealed in either freeze-dried or a very strong plastic. So you know that an MRE is going to be able to survive whatever disaster you can throw at it. As for the freeze-dried food, the packaging is comprised of a Mylar bag, an oxygen absorber. Usually it's Ziploc. Usually these bags are pretty tough. If you get the ones that are vacuum sealed, they may be more prone to puncture than a MRE retort packaging. Generally speaking, I would say that along this dimension, the MRE beats the freeze-dried food meal. One of the great things about freeze-dried food is the ease of use. You simply open up the package and you pour hot water into it. If you don't have hot water, you can just pour water into it. It might not taste as good because everybody likes a hot meal over a cold meal, but it still is going to rehydrate, and it's going to rehydrate really quickly. And you only have one piece of garbage to deal with. So within 5 minutes, you're eating your food and it's easy to dispose of. That's pretty good. One of the problems with MREs is that there's so much stuff and there's so much waste, it's going to take you a long time to consume all these calories. That's one of the benefits of freeze-dried food, is that you don't have so much stuff to deal with. Now, in terms of the storage requirements for freeze-dried food, you can store it pretty much anywhere. So long as the packaging is kept sealed shut, you can store this in a hot environment or a cold environment. It really doesn't matter that much. But because there is still a minuscule amount of moisture in there, you may want to avoid any extreme environments. MREs, on the other hand, their lifespan is going to diminish the hotter it is. So you don't want to store this in very, very hot temperatures. You also, for that matter, don't want to store it in very cold temperatures where the individual components can freeze, which may compromise the integrity of the packaging. All in all, in terms of ease of storage, the freeze-dried food wins hands down. As for barter, both of these are going to be great for barter, but I would venture to say that the MRE is going to be slightly better because MREs always come in this form, in one individual MRE, whereas some freeze-dried food comes in buckets. And this is going to be a bit more universally recognizable considering that militaries around the world use it. So I think in terms of barter, the MRE is going to win. But just the fact that this lasts 3 times longer than this means that if we're talking about a real deal Mad Max post-apocalypse and you have this stuff stacked sky high to the rafters, well, 10 years down the road, somebody may be more likely to trade you for this than they would for this. Another thing to think about is that the price of this is likely going to appreciate over time because the amount of money that it's going to cost you to buy this amount of rice and chicken right now, it's going to be a lot more in 30 years' time. So this is a great form of post-apocalyptic currency. Now, in terms of where can you buy freeze-dried food in MREs, I found that the availability of freeze-dried food is a little bit more readily available in grocery stores, in department stores. MREs are a little bit harder to find. You typically have to order them online, or you can buy them from an army surplus store. We do sell all kinds of varieties of MREs and freeze-dried food at CanadianPreparedness.com, and you can use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Now, as far as survival goes, the MRE has a distinct advantage, and that is the versatility factor. With a freeze-dried meal, all you're getting is the food in a Mylar bag. Now, you can reuse that bag to carry water or carry other wild edibles or something like that. But the benefit of the MRE is that you get all this stuff within it. So you might get a salt packet, you might get a book of matches, you might get a sugar packet, you get a spoon, a knife, you get a napkin, which you can use as a fire starter. So you get all these packaging utensils and accessories that may serve a dual purpose. And in my mind, that makes the MRE far more versatile in the field than a freeze-dried meal. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite type of survival and preparedness food is. Don't forget, you can load up on freeze-dried food and MREs at CanadianPreparedness.com. Stay safe, and don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Thanks for watching Canadian Prepper.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com. The best quality products at the best prices. Use discount code SURVIVALPREPPER, all caps, all one word, for 10% off. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.